First contact's price. Senior observer Zilix adjusted his sensory membranes as the quantum scanner's readings flickered across his consciousness. After 3 centuries of cataloging primitive worlds for the Galactic Council, he had never seen anything quite like this. The blue-green planet designated Sol 3 shouldn't have been remarkable. Just another developing world in an unremarkable spiral arm of the galaxy. But the data didn't lie. Analyst Mira. He called to his assistant. Verify these advancement vectors. There must be an error in the temporal calculations. Mira, a crystalline being whose faceted surface reflected the soft light of the observation deck, interfaced directly with the ship's quantum core. Her crystalline structure pulsed with deep purple hues as she processed the information. "The calculations are accurate, Senior Observer," she responded, her thoughts resonating through the ship's psychic network. In the span of merely 250 local solar cycles, this species has progressed from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary quantum field manipulation. Their advancement rate exceeds standard developmental curves by a factor of 17. Zilix felt his primary heart flutter uncomfortably. In all his years serving the Council, he had only encountered such rapid advancement once before. That incident had led to the quarantine and eventual sterilization of an entire sector. "Show me their conflict patterns," he commanded, dreading what he might find. The holographic display materialized before them, showing Earth's history of warfare. But unlike other species whose technological progress was driven by military development, humanity's greatest advances seemed to come from civilian sectors, private enterprises, academic institutions, and collaborative international projects. "Fascinating," Mira observed. "They compete and cooperate simultaneously. Their conflicts drive innovation, yet they maintain enough cooperation to prevent total destruction. It's inefficient, but remarkably effective." Zilix studied the patterns with growing concern. The Council's primary directive was clear. Any species that demonstrated accelerated development without proper evolutionary stability measures must be contained. Yet something about this case felt different. "Begin deep scanning their information networks," he ordered. "I want to understand how they think." For the next several days, Zilix and his crew immersed themselves in humanity's global information network. They observed everything from scientific papers to social media, from entertainment to political discourse. What they found defied conventional analysis. "They deliberately introduce chaos into their systems," Mira reported, her crystalline structure flickering with confusion. "They create art about impossible scenarios, theorize about unreachable futures, and constantly question their own assumptions. By Council standards, their entire civilization should have collapsed into anarchy centuries ago." Zilix felt his secondary brain begin to throb as he processed the implications. The humans weren't just advancing quickly, they were advancing in ways that the Council's predictive matrices couldn't comprehend. They embraced contradiction, celebrated uncertainty, and somehow turned their greatest weaknesses into strengths. "Senior Observer," his security chief interrupted, "we've detected anomalous scanning patterns from their orbital installations. They're beginning to notice our presence despite our quantum camouflage." This was impossible. Their technology shouldn't have been capable of detecting a Council observation vessel. Unless they're not actually detecting us, Zilix realized, his membranes quivering with sudden understanding. They're detecting the absence of something. They've started mapping quantum fluctuations in their local space and noticed the void our camouflage creates. They're seeing us by looking for what isn't there. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just developing technology. They were developing entirely new ways of thinking about technology. The Council's containment protocols were designed to handle rapid advancement along predicted paths, but humanity was creating paths that had never existed before. Zilix made his decision. He would have to report this to the Council, but first, he needed to understand more. Humanity's potential was too significant to risk a hasty judgment. "Maintain observation protocols," he ordered. but begin preparing a full species analysis. The Council needs to understand what we're dealing with here. This isn't just about technological advancement anymore. We may be witnessing the emergence of something entirely new in the galaxy. As their ship continued its silent watch over Earth, Xylix couldn't shake the feeling that the Council's traditional approach would be catastrophically wrong in this case. Humanity wasn't just another species to be contained or controlled. They were a mirror showing the galaxy a different way of existing. The question was, would the Council be willing to look into that mirror, or would they try to shatter it before their own assumptions began to crack? The silent strike. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her quantum field readings with growing unease. As lead researcher at the Global Quantum Detection Array in Antarctica, she had spent years studying the subtle fluctuations in spacetime that might indicate advanced technological activity. But these readings were unlike anything she'd ever seen. "Run the analysis again," she ordered her team, her fingers drumming against the holographic display. "Focus on Grid Sector 7. The massive underground facility hummed with energy as its quantum sensors probed the seemingly empty space above Earth. For the past 3 weeks, they had been detecting what Sarah called quantum shadows, areas where the natural background radiation of space seemed to fold in on itself. Her colleague, Dr. James Rodriguez, pulled up another set of readings. "Sarah, look at this pattern. It's like something's deliberately creating these distortions, almost like they're trying to hide." Sarah finished. She had suspected as much, but saying it out loud made it feel terrifyingly real. Before she could elaborate, every screen in the facility flickered simultaneously. The quantum readings spiked, then disappeared completely. Across the globe, similar facilities reported the same phenomenon. Something was interfering with Earth's most sensitive detection systems. In orbit, astronaut Commander Weilai watched in horror as the International Space Station's communications array went dark. One by one, satellites across Earth's orbit began failing, their systems corrupted by an invisible force that seemed to spread like a digital plague. "Houston, do you copy?" she called out, knowing already that she wouldn't receive a response. Through the station's viewport, she could see the normally brilliant web of satellite activity growing dim as system after system failed. Back on Earth, military installations worldwide went into high alert. In the Pentagon's Strategic Command Center, General Michael Okonjo received reports of widespread technological failures. But these weren't random malfunctions. They were surgical strikes against Earth's most advanced defensive systems. "Whatever's doing this knows exactly where to hit us," he muttered, studying the pattern of failures. "They're not just disabling our technology. They're blinding us." In New Delhi, Dr. Priya Patel, head of the International Cybersecurity Coalition, made a startling discovery. "The attacks aren't coming through any known network," she reported to the emergency UN session. "They're using quantum entanglement to bypass our conventional defenses. We're not just dealing with advanced technology. We're dealing with something that makes our most sophisticated systems look primitive." As panic began to spread, Sarah Chen noticed something peculiar in her readings. The quantum shadows weren't just hiding something. They were moving. And they were converging on Earth from all directions. "It's not an attack," she realized, her voice barely a whisper. "It's preparation for an invasion." In the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber, High Executive Ven addressed the assembled representatives. "The containment protocols have begun," they announced, their crystalline form pulsing with cold light. "Earth's defensive capabilities are being systematically neutralized. Soon, they will be unable to resist the Council's judgment." But senior observer Xylix, watching from his ship in orbit, noticed something the Council had overlooked. As Earth's advanced technology failed, humans weren't panicking. They were adapting. Already, he could detect them shifting to older, more primitive communication methods. Radio waves, Morse code, even physical signals were being employed with remarkable speed. "They're not trying to fix their advanced systems," he reported reluctantly to the Council. They're abandoning them entirely and creating new networks using technology so old we didn't consider it a threat. In underground bunkers and hidden facilities worldwide, humanity began to mobilize. The loss of their most advanced technology had been devastating, but it had also revealed their enemy's presence. Every failed system, every corrupted satellite, every quantum shadow became a beacon pointing to their invisible attackers. General Okonjo stood before the United Nations Security Council, his expression grim but determined. "They think they've blinded us," he declared, "but they've actually shown us exactly where they are. Every piece of technology they've disabled is now a marker, every quantum disturbance a signpost. They wanted to make us helpless. Instead, they've given us a map of their positions." Dr. Patel's team had already begun developing new protocols, using Earth's older and simpler technologies in ways their attackers hadn't anticipated. "They expected us to fight back with our most advanced weapons," she explained. "Instead, we'll fight back with technology so basic they won't even recognize it as a threat." As the quantum shadows continued to converge, humanity prepared for what was coming. They couldn't match their enemy's technology, but they had something perhaps more valuable: the ability to turn limitations into advantages, to find strength in what their adversaries considered weakness. Commander Lai, still orbiting Earth in the darkened International Space Station, watched as more quantum shadows appeared. But now, instead of fear, she felt a fierce determination. "They think they've won the first round," she transmitted using a hastily rigged analog radio. "But they've just taught us how to see them. And if we can see them, we can fight them." The silent strike against Earth's technology was complete. But instead of finding a helpless planet ready for containment, the Galactic Council was about to face a humanity that had learned to turn its own technological regression into a weapon. The real battle was about to begin, and it would be fought in ways no one, human or alien, had ever anticipated. Evolution under fire. The first Galactic Council ships materialized in Earth's atmosphere like crystalline nightmares, their quantum-shifted hulls refracting sunlight in impossible ways. They expected to find a civilization crippled by the loss of its advanced technology. Instead, they found humanity waiting. In her makeshift command center beneath the Antarctic Research Station, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the alien ships appear on a monitoring system that would have been considered obsolete a week ago. The display was crude, just a modified weather radar. But it worked precisely because it was too primitive for the aliens to consider a threat. "They're positioning themselves over major population centers," she reported through a hardwired telephone line. "Just as we predicted." General Okonjo's voice crackled back through the secure analog connection. "Good. Let them think they have us cornered. Initiate Protocol Prometheus." Across the globe, humanity's response began. It wasn't the high-tech defense the Council expected. It was something far more dangerous: human ingenuity unleashed. In orbit, Commander Lai and her crew had spent the past week modifying the International Space Station's waste disposal system. Ready to begin Operation Garbage Day, she transmitted using a pre-digital radio frequency. The ISS's simple mechanical thrusters pushed thousands of precisely calculated pieces of space debris into new orbits. The Council ships, their advanced sensors focused on detecting energy weapons and quantum fluctuations, never noticed the cloud of trash surrounding them until it was too late. Simple aluminum fragments, accelerated by Earth's gravity, began impacting their hulls at meteoric speeds. "Impossible," declared High Commander Vex as his flagship's shields registered thousands of tiny impacts. "They're attacking us with their refuse." On the ground, Dr. Priya Patel's team had repurposed the world's surviving computer networks in ways the aliens never expected. Instead of trying to breach the Council's quantum-encrypted communications, they simply flooded every frequency with noise: old radio shows, television broadcasts, and random digital signals. "Their systems are too perfect," Priya explained to the Emergency Defense Council. "They expect clean, efficient communication channels. So we're giving them chaos instead." The Council ship's communications began to break down as their quantum processors, designed for precise calculations, struggled to filter out the overwhelming flood of meaningless data. Their perfectly coordinated attack patterns started to fragment. In New Delhi, a group of teenage hackers had discovered that playing classical music through modified radio transmitters could create interference patterns that disrupted the aliens' quantum field generators. Bach's Brandenburg concertos became an unexpected weapon of war. Their technology is based on mathematical perfection, one young hacker explained while debugging her makeshift transmitter. But music? Music is mathematics with soul. It creates patterns they can't predict. The Council's ground forces, expecting to find defenseless cities, instead encountered streets transformed into labyrinths of improvised traps. Old cars had been converted into electromagnetic pulse generators. Home Wi-Fi routers had been modified to create localized disruption fields. Even children's toys had been repurposed as decoys and distractions. In his observation vessel, Senior Observer Zilix watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. "They're not just adapting," he reported to the increasingly concerned Council. "They're evolving their tactics in real time. Every failure teaches them something new about our technology." The Council ship's perfect formation began to break as more and more systems malfunctioned. Their quantum shields, calibrated to stop energy weapons, proved surprisingly vulnerable to impacts from simple kinetic projectiles. Their eye-targeting systems, programmed for efficiency, couldn't handle the chaotic movements of human defenders who seemed to act without any discernible pattern. Dr. Chen's team had made another breakthrough. "Their quantum fields operate on predictable frequencies," she announced over the Global Defense Network. "If we bombard them with rapidly changing electromagnetic pulses, we can force their systems to waste energy constantly recalibrating." Humanity's defensive strategy wasn't elegant or efficient. It was messy, wasteful, and incredibly effective. The Council forces found themselves fighting an enemy that turned everything into a weapon, that learned from every defeat, that seemed to thrive in the very chaos their advanced civilization had sought to eliminate. Commander Lai, watching from the ISS, saw the first Council ship retreat from Earth's orbit, its perfect crystalline structure marred by thousands of impacts from space debris. "They never considered that we'd use actual rocks as weapons," she transmitted, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. "They were so focused on detecting advanced technology that they forgot about basic physics." But the Council wasn't finished. As their initial attack faltered, they prepared to unleash their full military might. What they didn't realize was that humanity had only begun to demonstrate its capacity for adaptation. General Okonjo received reports of the Council's reinforcements with grim satisfaction. "They still think this is about technology," he told his staff. "They haven't figured out that we're not fighting with weapons, we're fighting with ideas, and ideas evolve faster than any technology." As the first wave of Council ships retreated to regroup, humanity prepared for the next phase of the battle. They had learned more about alien technology in 1 week of combat than they might have discovered in decades of peaceful study. Every failed attack, every destroyed ship, every disrupted system had taught them something new. Dr. Patel summed it up best during an emergency briefing. "They attacked us thinking our technological regression would make us helpless. Instead, it made us more dangerous than they could imagine. We're not bound by their rules or limitations. We're not fighting the way we're supposed to. We're fighting the way we need to." The Council was about to learn a harsh lesson. In forcing humanity to abandon its advanced technology, they had inadvertently unleashed something far more potent: human creativity unchained from conventional limitations. The real question wasn't whether humanity could survive, but whether the galaxy was ready for what humanity would become in the crucible of this conflict. The mathematics of chaos. The Galactic Council's second wave arrived with overwhelming force. 10,000 ships, each larger than the first wave, emerged from quantum space in perfect military formation. But this time, something was different. The Council had adapted too. "Their ships are running dark," Commander Wei Lai reported from the ISS. No quantum signatures, no energy emissions. They've learned from our detection methods. In the Antarctic Command Center, Dr. Sarah Chen studied the new data with growing concern. The Council ships were using modified shields that absorbed radar signals, making them nearly invisible to Earth's improvised detection systems. They're copying our strategy, she realized. They're going primitive. But the Council had made a crucial mistake. In trying to think like humans, they had applied logical, systematic changes to their technology. They had created perfect imperfection. And that was their weakness. Look at their formation, General Okonjo pointed out during an emergency briefing. Even while hiding, they're maintaining mathematically precise spacing. They can't help themselves. They don't understand that true chaos can't be manufactured. Dr. Priya Patel's team had spent the past week analyzing captured alien technology. Their entire civilization is built on quantum certainty, she explained. Even when they try to be unpredictable, they follow patterns. We can use that. Humanity's response emerged from an unexpected source. A group of jazz musicians in New Orleans had noticed that the alien ship's stealth systems faltered when exposed to improvised music. The quantum fields couldn't adapt to truly random creative expression. It's not about the notes, explained Marcus Young, a trumpet player turned defense consultant. It's about the spaces between the notes, the moments of pure creative possibility. Their systems can't handle genuine improvisation. The discovery led to a revolutionary defense strategy. Earth's remaining communications networks began broadcasting improvised music, random number sequences generated by human thought, and children's drawings converted into digital signals. The alien ship's perfect formations began to waver as their systems encountered truly unpredictable input. In orbit, Commander Lai had another breakthrough. Their ships always correct course using optimal trajectories, she reported. So what if we give them no optimal choice? The ISS crew began launching clouds of debris in deliberately inefficient patterns. The Council ships, programmed to calculate perfect evasive maneuvers, found themselves trapped by their own logic. Every perfect escape route led them into another cloud of debris. On the ground, humanity's defensive strategy evolved in ways that defied conventional military logic. Street artists in Sao Paulo created massive murals that confused alien targeting systems. Kindergarten classes in Tokyo folded thousands of paper cranes that, when released into the air, disrupted the Council's atmospheric sensors with their chaotic flight patterns. They're using primitive projectile weapons, High Commander Vex reported to the Council, his crystalline form flickering with frustration. But every projectile follows a different trajectory. There's no pattern to predict, no logic to counter. Senior observer Zelix, still watching from his cloaked vessel, began to understand the fundamental difference between human and Council thinking. We see chaos as a problem to be solved, he wrote in his final report. They see it as a solution to be embraced. The turning point came when Dr. Chen made a stunning discovery. Their quantum processors, she announced, they don't just prefer order, they require it. Exposure to prolonged chaos doesn't just confuse them, it physically damages them. Humanity's defense strategy shifted from resistance to active disruption. Every radio station on Earth began broadcasting random noise generated by atmospheric interference. Street musicians played freestyle jazz on modified transmitters. Children's jump rope rhymes were converted into quantum disruption patterns. The Council ship's perfect formation began to break down. Their quantum processors, faced with an overwhelming flood of genuine chaos, started to fail. Ships collided as their navigation systems received contradictory information. Communication networks collapsed under the weight of meaningless data. This defies all military logic. High Commander Vex protested as his fleet began to disintegrate. They're not targeting our weaknesses, they're attacking our strengths. Dr. Patel, watching the battle unfold through repurposed satellite feeds, smiled. That's because they still think this is a war of technology, she said. But we're not fighting their technology. We're fighting their entire way of thinking. As the Council fleet fell into disarray, Humanity pressed its advantage. Every failed alien system was quickly salvaged and repurposed. Earth's defenders learned to combine Council technology with human unpredictability in ways that even the inventors of that technology had never imagined. General Okonjo stood before the United Nations, describing the situation. They came expecting to find a primitive species learning to use advanced technology, he said. Instead, they found an advanced species that remembers how to be primitive. Our greatest weapon isn't our technology or even our ability to adapt. It's our ability to embrace chaos while maintaining our humanity. The Council's perfect military machine was falling apart, unable to cope with an enemy that turned unpredictability into an art form. But as their second wave retreated in disarray, the Council prepared its final option, one that would either end the threat of human chaos forever or change the galaxy's understanding of civilization itself. Tomorrow's victory. The Galactic Council's final attack wasn't an attack at all. It was an attempt to impose order itself upon Earth. Their remaining ships formed a vast quantum matrix around the planet, preparing to generate a field of pure mathematical perfection that would eliminate chaos itself from the human sphere. They're trying to rewrite the laws of physics in our local space, Dr. Sarah Chin explained, watching the readings from their last functioning sensors. They want to create a bubble of pure order around Earth, where uncertainty and randomness cannot exist. In orbit, Commander Wei Lai observed the alien ships linking together into a crystalline lattice that stretched across the sky. "They're not trying to destroy us anymore," she transmitted. "They're trying to change what we are." But humanity had one final card to play. During the weeks of conflict, Dr. Priya Patel's team had made an extraordinary discovery about the nature of Council technology. Their quantum processors don't just prefer order, she revealed to the Global Defense Council. They actually generate it. Each ship is a node in a vast network that imposes mathematical perfection on reality itself. General Okonjo saw the opportunity immediately. "So if we can introduce enough chaos into their network, we can make them impose chaos instead of order," Dr. Chen finished. "But we'd need to inject randomness into their system at a quantum level. We'd need a human mind." Marcus Young, the jazz musician, interrupted. "The most chaotic, creative, unpredictable thing in the known universe." The plan that emerged was either brilliant madness or madding brilliance. Using salvaged alien technology, Earth's scientists created a quantum interface that could connect a human consciousness directly to the Council's network. But they needed a mind creative enough, chaotic enough, to introduce true randomness into the aliens' perfect system. They found their answer in an unlikely place, a kindergarten classroom in Kenya. 6-year-old Amara Okoro had an imagination so vivid, so unpredictable, that her brainwaves regularly crashed the sensors monitoring the experiment. "Children's minds aren't bound by logic or conventional physics," Dr. Chen explained. "They haven't learned what's supposed to be impossible yet." As the Council's ships prepared to activate their reality-altering field, humanity prepared its counter. In a heavily shielded facility, surrounded by the world's leading scientists, Amara sat down to draw. "Just imagine anything you want," they told her. "The more impossible, the better." The Council never saw it coming. As they activated their quantum matrix, Amara's consciousness, amplified through salvaged alien tech, poured into their network. Her mind, unbounded by adult logic or alien mathematics, introduced something the Council had never encountered: pure, unfiltered human creativity. The effect was instantaneous and spectacular. The Council's perfect lattice of ships began to transform. Quantum fields designed to impose order started generating impossible things instead. Ships transformed into giant floating flowers. Energy beams turned into rainbows that tasted like music. Space itself began to ripple with the pure imagination of a child who didn't know that reality was supposed to have rules. High Commander Vex watched in horror as his fleet became a canvas for human creativity. "Shut it down," he ordered. "Disconnect from the Matrix." But it was too late. The quantum network that linked their ships had become a conduit for something more powerful than order or chaos. It had become a channel for possibility itself. Senior observer Zulix, watching from his cloaked ship, finally understood. "We thought we were more advanced because we had mastered the laws of physics," he transmitted to the Council. "But they're more advanced because they know when to break those laws." The Council's fleet began to retreat, their perfect formation dissolving into a chaos of color and imagination. But as they fled, something extraordinary happened. The quantum link between human creativity and alien technology had created something new, a hybrid of order and chaos, of logic and dreams. "Look," Commander Lai called from the ISS. "Their ships, they're evolving." The surviving Council vessels emerged from Immerse's quantum storm transformed. Their crystalline structures now flowed like liquid art. Their quantum fields hummed with both mathematical precision and creative possibility. In the aftermath, as Earth's defenses stood down, humanity received an unexpected message from the Galactic Council. It wasn't a surrender or a threat. It was an invitation. "We have existed for millennia in perfect order," the message read. "We have mastered the art of control, of prediction, of certainty. But you have shown us something we had forgotten. The power of uncertainty, the beauty of chaos, the necessity of change. We do not wish to fight you anymore. We wish to learn from you." Dr. Chen, reading the message in her Antarctic command center, smiled. "They finally understand," she said. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to embrace the unknown, to find beauty in imperfection, to see possibilities where others see only problems." The war ended not with humanity's defeat or even our victory, but with something far more profound, a transformation. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. We had proven that civilization didn't have to choose between order and chaos, between logic and creativity. The future belonged to those who could dance between both worlds, finding harmony in their discord. And somewhere in a kindergarten classroom in Kenya, a young girl continued to draw, her imagination now touching not just one world, but countless stars across the galaxy. Her pictures, impossible and beautiful, served as a reminder that the greatest power in the universe isn't perfection, it's possibility. The Galactic Council had come to impose order on humanity. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy how to dream.